Out of the 3 investments that I made in the past year and a half, I'm thinking about selling 2 of them. I'm going to walk you through exactly why I'm thinking about selling and why I'm selling one of them and I'm not selling the other. See if you can find out which one I'm selling and which one I'm not. Let us take a company that I bought back in September. The components of my thesis were that the BNPL industry was undervalued because of fear and negative feelings towards it, and Wall Street really didn't understand these companies because buy now pay later services are often those for weaker credit. I then believed that Sezzle was the best business model in the buy now pay later industry because of their subscription model, which allowed them to have margins like this. And finally, the CEO understands what makes a great company, as his thesis in AI is that you should not be using it to make short-term cost cuts, but rather long-term value through enhancement for those who work with Sezzle.
I think our approach is completely different. Our approach is we're not going to cut team members. Our approach is that we're going to use AI to become incredibly productive and turn a team of 400 or 500 into a team of 4,000 or 5,000.
And he's willing to do this because he has a 43% ownership stake in the company. So we see the company is strong on many metrics, but I originally bought the company also because it was cheap. So now that it's expensive, I have to ask the question, is it time to sell? In any case that I can find a better company, I would say yes, obviously. But one of the large problems that I have is that while the valuation does seem to be out of whack, I'm having a very hard time finding a better investment when I take into consideration the value the business itself is bringing. The business overall, I feel, justifies the valuation even if the stock is too high. Overall, I just cannot find a better investment. Consolidation is something I don't really have a problem with in general because I actually am against diversification. But this is only to a point. I feel like you really should never have more than 7 to 10 positions, but the allocation within these positions matters a lot. If the stock makes up 30 to 40% of your portfolio, you really have to start questioning whether you're willing to bet that much money on something. Consider if this position went down 50% from current allocations and there's no thesis change, would you be able to continue to hold on to the company? Sezzle, once again, being the example, when I bought the company, it was originally around 23 to 25% of my portfolio, and I was confident in the position, but now today it's sitting at around 40% of my portfolio. Yet on this case, I'm still confident holding on to the shares. I understand the effect that a bad cycle would have on the company, but I feel with the strong margins and the cash-rich position of the business, they'd be able to handle such an event. Finally, there's one last time you should consider selling a company: when the fundamentals or the long-term prospects of the business change. Maybe a company decides to make a change that indicates they're on the wrong path into the future, and you believe that this is going to affect the brand of the company poorly. Or maybe they decide to target a different market or make a diversification that's going to cause them to diversify. If this is the case, then they're crushing the value of their business and thus the price which you believe it should be rational for them to trade at. Whatever the case may be, if the company decides to erode their long-term value or something in the operating environment changes the field in which the company is playing, then you may have to consider making an exit. Okay, so now that we've looked at an investment that I'm going to be holding on to for the time being, let's look into an investment that I'm likely going to be selling soon. United Health, I originally bought with the idea that the strong legacy business in an industry that's pretty much impossible to uproot has had a series of unfortunate events occur. But I believe sentiment was just too low for such a strong company. And thus, I decided to take a position. I bought last August with this belief, and everything has played out quite well. And now I feel that I'm sitting on this position that is trading rationally or near rationally. Thus, I try to find a company that has the same type of thesis to give my portfolio diversification and theses in which I make purchases. If I buy only companies that I believe have good long-term prospects, I miss out on short-term price action, while these other companies wait to materialize. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. In fact, it actually might be better, but I don't want to miss out on the short-term pricing inefficiencies either. Thus, I wish to find another company that's sitting at such an attractive valuation, that has good long-term prospects, and is definitely undervalued with low sentiment. And I think Adobe ticks all of these boxes very nicely. So I will be taking a look into that position. So in most cases, I don't give financial advice, but there is one investment idea that I will give you in this rare case. The subscribe button. Make sure to stay up to date on all the ideas and content that I'm putting out. Would love to have you along for the ride. See you soon.